Non-member shout out. So here I am, doing everything I can, holding on to what I am, pretending I'm a Superman. I'm trying to keep the ground on my feet, feel the world's falling down around me. The nights are all long. Hey guys, how's it going? It's I, the real Wendy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with a podcast with Erika Sidari. Also, before we get started, where is this gonna go? Okay. We got at Hey David Don and at King Mavs Forever on the Twitter, Standoff Chart and King Mavs on the veve app, Kobe Collects and Omi Player One on YouTube, Powers of X is a comic you should buy, Kobe Collects on the fridge handle, Kyle Willson, Wendy Stibalis, Golden Assets, Puddin' Cheeks, Baby Las Vegas, Taps Trades, Mars Davis, Legacy Bermuda, and Sodi Pop Media on the YouTube, at EQ_crypto, at Wet Wizard Veve, and Gary O at 1234CA3 on Twitter. DerekBrad.com/pages/vv-photography, AfroDroidLegends.com, UStayGlassy.store, WoundedWarriorProject.org, and AffinityHypnotherapy.com.au are places you should go if you want to buy things or donate things or seek some help. My guest today is Erika Sidari, a tech sergeant in the Air Force now?
Hopefully someday, but still staff.
Okay, we gotcha.
Yeah.
We have actually never served together. We just partied in Germany that one time.
The best time. I'm pretty sure I didn't get home till like 6 o'clock in the morning that night.
That was a crazy day. I don't know what you guys did beforehand. I don't know that I was pretty drunk for most of that week. I went to the gym with Cook. Do you know Cook?
Yeah.
Cookie, yeah. So I went to the gym with him, but there was also a day where I was hiking with some people. And I don't know, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you go hiking. I'm sure you go places. You love to travel. But I remember like wanting to like run. So I went for a run and I thought I was like really out of shape, which I guess I was. And I didn't recognize that on the way up the hill that the air was getting thinner. And I got like hypoxia. I'm like sitting down, like Avengers Endgame trailer had just came out. I was like on Snapchat, like guys, part of the journey's the end. It's over.
That's crazy. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I was say you were there for how long?
So that was the second time I was stationed in Germany, and I was there for 2 years each time.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean about the air because I was just romping around up in the Sierra Nevada mountains over the past weekend here in Spain. And that fresh air hits hard. Like it hits a different level, right? Like I'm so used to southern Spain and like the smog and the dust. And whenever I was hiking up there, I'm like, I don't know how to take all this fresh air. I can breathe better. And I don't know how to feel right now.
I guess it's like a form of like blood doping without blood doping. You just like where the air is so thin and then your body gets used to it. And then when the air is super oxygenated, you're like, oh, feel great.
Yeah,
that must felt really good. And what years were you there both times for Germany?
Germany first time 2015 to 2017, and then I did a piece to Honduras for a year, and then I went back in 2018 to 2020.
Okay, and where were you before then? Before you were in Germany?
Well, before Germany, my first station was Altus, Oklahoma, which was out of all the places that I've been, because I've been overseas for 13 years. And out of all the places that I've been, I think going from Pennsylvania to Oklahoma was the biggest culture shock. Nice.
Yeah.
Was the biggest culture shock of my entire life. You don't put a northern girl in like the Midwest South like that. You just don't feed her chicken fried steak for breakfast. You just don't do that. And then from there, I went to Korea for a year. And then I went to Guam for 3 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Guam is my favorite place in the entire world. And then I went back to Korea. And then from Korea, I went Germany, Honduras, Germany, and now I'm in Spain.
So you've had a lot of fun. You've had a lot of traveling.
A lot.
So I guess was the worst place Oklahoma? Is that like the...
Yeah, I mean, out of all of my travels, I wouldn't say Oklahoma. I wouldn't write it off, but I think where I was, it's desolate, kind of. Yeah. It's flat and
nothing around.
Dry, nothing around. Yeah, there was one bar in town called Scooters.
Okay.
We like to go there and cut up, but whatever.
And the one bar, they must love. Do the people like know you by name? Like, oh, it's Erika. Oh, what's going on?
I don't know about that, but everyone on the base, that's where they went to have fun and party. So I'm
Okay.
kind of a low key person when it comes to like people I work with. I don't really hang out a whole lot. I just kind of find other people because you don't party where you have to work and the whole people get in your business. So I
That's a good point.
like to keep it professional.
All right. When did you elect to do that? Was that always you? Was it like, hey, I want to keep this separate, or did you learn that along the way? Like, oh, this did not work out. I'm not going to do this in Korea or
I
Guam.
think I learned that in Oklahoma. I think that was a hard lesson that I learned right away because in Oklahoma, it's also a very small shop. So your business gets around to everywhere. Like everyone talks about it, right? And so whenever I found out I was going to Korea, I was a little young and naive and a brand new airman at the time. And I remember my flight chief pulled me in. He's like, Korea's not a place for a girl like you. I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
What
Like,
the?
what does that
Yeah. Oh,
mean?
that's so weird.
So I think I learned going to Korea. I had a good time, but I definitely learned to keep play outside of work and at work just be like strictly business. And
Yeah.
it's helped me out along the way, honestly. And I prefer it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you were how old when you joined?
22.
Okay, so you joined kind of late. Did you go to college first? Oh
I
yeah, you
did.
have. I saw you studied psychology, right?
I am studying psychology.
Oh, okay. Was
One
that what
day
you
I'm
studied beforehand?
hoping, huh?
Is that what you studied beforehand also?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
then I did 3 years and then I dropped out and then went to the Air Force.
Yeah.
Um, but hopefully one day I will be in my doctorate program.
I can see.
Hopefully.
I will definitely be able to see that. Um, what made you quit the first time? It was like I don't like it and just want something
Mhm.
different.
You mean before I joined the military?
Yeah.
Just family stuff was
Okay.
happening.
Gotcha.
So I left and went to go back home. And then, by the time it's crazy how you can be away for like a year and then you try to go back to something that's like so expensive and
Oh,
I don't know what happens. I don't think you realize it when you're that young. Life just smacks you in the face a little bit.
yeah.
So it was
But
the military was my last resort.
oh, so you did exhaust every other option, and then you. So what'd you stay in? I mean, what'd you if that was your last resort and just doing say, all right, I'll get some free college out of it. What made you stay in?
So I remember I wanted to actually join the Marine Corps. That was my very first option. And my dad was a Marine. And then he's like, absolutely not. You will not join the Marine Corps. And then so I went to the Navy and they wanted me to cut my hair, which was also not an option. So it was
Yeah.
Air Force. And I remember saying to my dad, I said, I'm going to do the max contract. Like, if
6
I'm
years.
going to do this, I'm going to do this. And he's like, oh, I don't think you're going to like it that much. And so whenever I got stationed to Korea, I kind of got that taste for wanderlust, right? I've always been the type of person, I wasn't the type of girl who sat around thinking about like what her wedding would look like. I was always the type of girl who was like, I wonder where I'm going to go in my life and the things that I'm going to see. And so when I got that little bit of taste when I got to Korea, that was it for me. I'm like, I need to do this for as long as I can. And of course, you grow up and you learn, like your ambitions and your goals change a little bit,
Yeah.
but still in the forefront, I want to go everywhere. I've been to 45 countries and 4 different states. So
That's so much. That's so I forget. I think it was like a Disney Channel movie or whatever. There was with the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond, like the grandma,
mhm.
Doris Roberts. She had mentioned when she was like again in this random movie that she had seen Europe like 100 times and traveled everywhere else, but she had never seen, like her own backyard. Like she had never seen the States. Do you have plans to go do like an epic road trip in the States, or is it like I'll do it when I retire, or when I do it when I get back?
So I think that after this assignment, I'm gonna go back to the States. My family's not getting younger. I've been over here for 13 years.
Yeah.
So I think I'll go back after this assignment, and I have plans to see things, but I don't have like these big wants or ambitions to go to anywhere particular in the States. Like, don't get me wrong, our country is beautiful. It has beautiful places, but it's not old. And I think that's what I like about Europe and Asia is like a lot of the buildings and architecture is so old and has history where America's not really like that. So yeah, I want to see Arizona. I don't know why. Arizona just appeals to me for some reason.
Do you remember that girl Thompson that was with us the night of the party?
Oh yeah, yeah.
She's from Arizona. I think it's from like Flagstaff, and she has this. I don't know if you're into like ghosts or you believe, or if it's just like random creatures, but those she was driving through an Indian reservation. She needed gas, and it's like okay, so she gets gas, and it started to be like a kind of a scary situation where there was a girl parked in back of her getting gas, and there was a guy that got out of her car was approaching her, and there was another guy coming out of the bathroom. They were approaching her, and she's like, "Oh, man, like fight or flight, fight or flight." Like she's got a weapon in her front seat. It's like, do I do that? Do I just run away? And then she hears like this shriek, or they all hear this shriek out from like the field or wherever. I guess in this Indian reservation, it's nothing but like roads and just random plains. Um, and the people that were about, like, she thought that was about to mug her. They got in the car, they bolted out of there. She's like, "Oh shoot!" Like shit. So I mean, when I think of Arizona, I just think of that story. I know it's like probably a beautiful place, probably got lots of mountains you can climb. Um, or have you seen any type of stuff like that in your travels? Like any type of that's weird. Like that shouldn't make sound.
Um, I'm trying to think of certain things. I've had I have a story about in Guam about like weird things happening, like you say, a little bit supernatural things.
Hmm.
I have a story like that, but as far as like being in a weird situation where I thought my life was in danger, probably some point, I don't remember, but
Yeah.
not off the top of my head. I
All
try
right.
to I try to say like I really do try to use caution because I solo travel. I travel a lot by myself. And I try to stay in the city and the lights and all that kind of stuff, all that
Yeah.
CBS that we have to do, right? Um, but I'm also a fan of going down dark alleys. For example, in Guam, or not Guam, Guatemala,
Okay.
we were staying on the lake there, and we went to one of the islands, and
Hmm.
everybody that I was with, they were plastered. And of course,
I
like
bet.
I was I think the only girl on that trip, and all the guys like left. They found these little spicy senoritas, and they were going and talking to these girls, and I'm like, oh, dark alley, what's down there? And so I ventured down there, and I met along the way like this young guy, and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, come with me, tequila, tequila. I'm like, yes, tequila, tequila, absolutely. And then we went to
How
we
old
went
were you?
to huh?
How old were you?
This was like when I was in Honduras. I was like 32 or
Oh, so
something.
this is like you weren't like this doe-eyed like wet between the like oh you oh okay keep going keep going.
No,
Yeah.
no. No. What kind of woman's you? I am a lady, sir. But yeah, we went down this dark alley, and he led me into this. I thought it was a bar because he kept calling it a bar, but it was someone's house. And so we go to the back patio, and they have like this little tiki bar set up, but it's just
Okay.
like all of these really hard looking guys. And I remember looking at these guys, I'm like, these aren't just like some cool guys that friends hanging out. Like there's something sketch going on back here.
Yeah.
But I stayed and drank tequila, and my friends found me, and they invited them in, and we had a good time, honestly.
Oh, okay. So it turned out good. Oof.
Yeah, it turned out good.
Okay. When you say you travel alone now, do you always tell someone like, "Hey, I'm about to be here. If you don't hear from me every like 6 hours, send help," or you're
No,
just
I
like,
don't do
"Yo,
that. I
oh
just
wow,
go. I go by myself, and if someone needs me for something, they will call me,
okay,
and I will figure out a way to. I'll let someone know then, and be like, "Oh, I
yeah,
can't make this. I'm here," or "Oh yeah, give me this amount of time." But I
yeah,
don't. I don't tell people where I go because then they'll try to find me, and I don't.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I whenever I used to do any type of traveling as well, I would always post where I was after I already left.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just paranoia that we get, but that's just what I did. Um, so that was Honduras. That was a few years ago. Where was the best party place? I hear it's Korea. Every place you travel, where was the one that's like, this is the nightlife for me?
Oh man. Okay. I think Korea, that would have stood true back before like uh 2000 and maybe 12. I left in 2011. And I think during that time, not a lot of stuff was shut down because, they had the issues with human trafficking with the juicy girls and um, the like mama sans taking these girls' passports and them working in these bars, right?
Yeah.
It's a form of human trafficking essentially. And here we are, the military, like almost kind of supporting that unknowingly.
Because you're drinking there and spending money there. Yeah.
And you're supporting that kind of. So what had happened was, I guess it got so bad to where I think the base security forces or whatever, they patrol that whole area now, and they shut all those bars down and like released all of those girls. So anyone being caught like withholding passports from these girls or half naked women in these bars, they get shut down by security forces, and
Okay.
you're not allowed. So I think for younger people during like before 2012, Korea would have been a great place to party.
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, I had such a good time in Guam. I
Yeah.
think Guam was the best party scene. And yeah, it's a small island, absolutely. But you have like the Navy folks that are on there, and it's a huge tourist area with like the Japanese and the Russians come and or whatever. And there's just something about that island life that brings people together, and it was just always a really good time. I don't ever remember bar fights or anything like that ever
Oh,
happening.
everyone's just relaxed and they're just like,
Relax,
chill.
just chilling, meeting people.
I guess it's hard to be angry when you're like on the beach and just sunny. Like it sounds like a great time. Like what I really want to do, like when I finish YouTube and it's all said and done, and I do everything I set out to do is just to do that. Maybe open up a tiki bar or just buy one, have somebody else run it, and then just be like, just chill on the beach, rest of my life. That'll be it.
Well, you better let me know where you open that bar because I'll be your first employee.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you really wanted to do that, I guess built-in security with you, have like I'll give you like a back tail, I'll give you whatever. Um, but I mean, if you wanted to do that, and I don't know exactly what you meant to do or what you want to do when you study psychology, if it's just hearing people's stories or want to help people or just because the bar is a great place to get to, like, I feel like bartenders are like psychologists, like they listen to your problems and there's like, what's wrong, partner? What are you aiming to do with psychology?
So essentially what my main focus is, or what I would love to do, is work with either in a prison with the criminally insane or work in like a psychiatric ward with the mentally ill, right?
Okay.
That's kind of what I'm more interested in. Not so much counseling. I'm not so much interested in like sitting down with kids or families or couples and going through this counseling. I want to work with people who have severe mental disorder. That's always been an interest of mine. And, growing up with family members who have had mental disorders, it's something that I feel I understand from a young age. And I can communicate well with those kind of people and kind of listen a little bit better. I'm not saying I'm fully trained and I know absolutely now what I'm doing, because I still have a long way to go. But it's something that I excel at, definitely, I feel.
So, I mean, there is a little bit of a space between like, people that are in prison, like violent criminals, and then the space between like, hey, they're in a mental institution for X, Y, and Z. Why those two, and then why one over the other? Like why like I feel like that can get a little dangerous. But yeah, why those two specifically?
Um, I remember when I was younger, I was in high school, and my dad worked in a prison. He was a corrections officer. And I shadowed the psychiatrist there, and they were working with, she worked that particular day with like rapists and like molesters and stuff. And I sat in their counseling session with them and just listening to these stories and like listening to how they communicate. And I don't know, there's something sick and twisted about my interest in it, I guess.
Okay.
I feel like you have to be a little bit twisted to be interested in something like that. But I just am really curious about why. Like, why are these people this way? Like,
Yeah.
why are some people born without these emotions or without these neurotransmitters and these little firing mechanisms? And, as opposed to just sitting down with people who could potentially just be like, and I'm not saying this as if it's like what people do, but I think a lot of the times, especially nowadays, you just get a lot of self-entitled people who just don't know how to deal with their emotions, and then they're in therapy. I don't want to sit down and listen to them and be like, I think that I would do more damage with somebody like that. Like, suck it up, grow a pair, move
That's
on.
some people need. Like, some people just need that tough love. Be like, dude, just being a girl about it,
Yeah. So I don't want to come across that way to somebody who is in their own mind in severe desperation.
But yeah. So there's this show called Billions. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Mm-mm.
It's this guy's like a billionaire and he's like a stock trader, and he employs a psychiatrist because he pays her like, I don't know how much a year, like $1 million a year or something. And it's just like, hey, every time you see me off my game, if I don't realize it, just realize it. Just do like a third, like, and then her whole job is just to do that. So I thought that was really cool that some people can just zero in on someone's mind. And you like, I'm guessing true crime. I'm guessing you like to watch like serial killer documentaries.
Yeah. Hello, I'm a woman. All women love watching that shit. Come on.
Yeah. There's been some interesting girls that I spent time with. I was like, let's watch this. Like, is this getting you in the mood? This is a little like this little, all right.
Go. Actually, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah. So is that like I don't want to say like a kink, and I'm not like kink chat. Is that like a thing like back in like 10 years ago, there was a serial killer on Long Island, and he would just like killed hookers. Eventually they caught him or whatever, but is one of your things like goals to work is like, I want to work with someone that just did this, like that's famous, like someone that just shot up a whole building and just doesn't feel bad about it. Like, do you want to get them in like a QEEG, like a quantitative encephalography, and like give them like ask like what do you want to see? Do you want to give them like drugs and see what parts of their brains light up?
I mean, that would definitely be cool. I would love to do something like that with somebody, right? Especially if it's like fresh like that. But I honestly don't know. I'm not at that point yet where I'm zeroed in on exactly what my interest is. I know where I want to go. But I would definitely love to work with famous serial killers. And you said kink. No, it's not a kink.
Oh yeah, that's why I didn't want to use that word. I was like, if in case it was, I didn't want to kink shame it. But okay, all right.
I think for some women it might be like, because you get these women who want to like marry these serial killers. I mean, look at Ted Bundy and all the other famous serial killers.
Yeah,
right?
It's nuts. It's crazy. Like like you see like, and there was this one girl that I dated that was very nice girl and very, very normal, like, but just had like a blood kink. And, it's like cut and then like, and then one day got really bad because I nicked an artery and just, but we were fine. It was good. But yeah, there's something about, I guess certain people, I guess more women than men that just have that like really interesting. Why is that? Like, why do you think a lot of women have like a little bit more of the aggressive or a little bit of those types of kinks? Like, do you think it has something to do with evolutionary back in the line? Like something happened with like their ancestors and that gene got passed down to them?
I think honestly, when it comes to like what you're describing particularly, I think women are, this is how I see it, right? I think women are natural caregivers. Like we're very nurturing. And so when something's broken, we want to fix it, right? So when we see a broken person or a hurt person, like we want to fix that person because inherently that's what women do. We're caregivers.
Yeah.
Unless if like you weren't, unless if you're not that way, right? I mean, some women don't have that desire. But I think in some capacity, when we see broken things, broken minds, broken bodies, broken emotions, like I think we want to fix those things. And I think that falls right in line to what you're saying is women are interested in this kind of stuff because maybe we want to fix these people. And I don't know. That's how I
No,
see
that's a good point. Like I remember I was talking to this one girl who like we were friends, and she just like kept dating these like dirtbags. I'm like, what is going on? Like the latest one, you know, that again, it was years ago. I was like, what was this? And she's like, he's just like a lost puppy, and he just needs guidance. I was like, okay, maybe, but like, yeah,
she's
wow,
gonna
that's
learn a very hard lesson someday.
oh, she's I'm pretty yeah, agreed. So what countries that you've been in have like the harshest or strictest laws, and how do you think you would prevent something like that? Like how much money do you think should go into trying to repair these people, or versus just saying like,
Well, I wouldn't, I don't really know. And I don't really study psychology within different cultures. I like to experience cultures on a different level,
mm,
leisurely, right? I don't really try to psychoanalyze a certain type of people. But I remember I have a little travel story that I thought was interesting psychologically. I went to China and I was there. I went to Hong Kong and some stuff happened. They took my passport. I was stuck in the airport for like 36 hours until I
oh,
could
okay,
get my passport back. And then I went to China for, I think that we were there for a week and a half, maybe 10 days.
mhm.
And me, I'm always the type of person that asks like really weird questions. And I have this huge fear of organ harvesting. Like I'm on guard about organ harvesting all the time.
Okay.
That's a different story. But I was in Shein and I asked our tour guide, I said, is organ harvesting a big deal around this province of China? And she got so mad at me. Like she told me to shut up and she told me not to talk and she told me like I wasn't allowed to ask her any more questions. And just from that one question,
Was
and
like someone else listening, like, hey, don't talk about that, or they're gonna do that to you?
it was her and the driver, and then there was like a group of us, like me and my group of friends. But no, she just got really offended by it and she got really like nervous about it. And I kind of looked at it like, oh, maybe they're ashamed of those things happening because organ harvesting is a big deal in China, actually.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just something she didn't want to talk about. So then, me being who I am, pushed her buttons a little bit
Oh
further.
no.
The next day, we were walking around some city fortress, right?
Yeah.
And it was just me and her talking, like we were walking along together. I said, I have a question. And she just stopped and looked at me. I'm like, I know back in like 14th century, whatever, like lotus foot binding was a huge deal in China. It was a form of beauty. And I tried to be really nice about it, but I wanted to know. I'm like, do those kind of things still happen? I said, I know it's illegal to do that now. I said, but do those kind of traditions still trickle down into some families? Like, I want to know about that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
if she could have punched me in the face, I'm
Oh
pretty
man.
sure she would have punched me in the face. And so I thought that kind of stuff was really interesting. And it's just either it's a pride thing or they're just shameful about it or they don't want to talk about it. And
Yeah.
maybe they're scared of like, I don't know, reprimand of some kind. And
That's
I thought that
awesome.
was interesting because you have North Korea, right? And North Korea has one of the harshest punishments in the entire world. You get
Yeah.
thrown in prison as an innocent child if your parents are prisoners or
Yeah.
committed. So I don't know. I think I think that part of the world, maybe to answer your question in a roundabout way.
Yeah, that I feel like that's just a lot of the government though is so corrupt. Like you said, Korea, China, and like doesn't China have like internment camps like for Muslims? And don't they like
Yes,
not give a like I'm sure
I'm pretty
they
sure.
are doing like and so not to all right. Got to preface this. Hitler's a bad person. Glad he's dead. Glad everything. But there was some things that Hitler did that like that did benefit humanity. Like going and saying, okay, let this person, and it's torture and it's awful. It's like, all right, let this person in freezing water and see how long they can survive in freezing water, and then take their temperature, and then like, and for the and doesn't make up for the horrible atrocities that were committed by him and for him, but I'm pretty sure there is some scientists in like China and Russia that are also probably doing like human experiments like that. Like, let's see how long they can do that for. Um,
100%.
have you ever gotten to interview anyone like that that was a doctor and was like made to do those things? No.
No,
Would
no,
you want to?
absolutely, absolutely, I would.
Yeah.
I mean, but wouldn't you? Wouldn't
I'd
you
be very
want to
curious.
people like
I would
that?
love to like I am so upset that Epstein didn't kill himself, but I'm so upset that he, like that before he could tell people like what, he could I hope Ghislaine Maxwell goes and rats everybody out. I don't know what haven't followed that in a while, but
I was gonna ask you, what is going on with that? I haven't followed her trial at all.
I remember so I followed the Twitter account that says like, all right, Ghislaine Maxwell trial coverage, and Twitter banned it for whatever reason. Like they banned the account. Like this is so messed up. I think that some of the books that he had are like forever closed now. They're sealed for whatever reason. I don't know. A lot of tomfool, a lot of messed up stuff, and a lot of underhanded things. But yeah, I would love to just ask people like why, like what's the like why, like is that a pleasure sense? Like is that something they get in their brain? Like kind of when we get, let's say, like we eat like good food or we get a hug. Like is that the same receptor in their brain that goes off when they like murder someone? And um, I mean, how does the law affect them also when they say like, oh, I didn't know this was wrong. I didn't, no, like obviously it still goes against the rules, but can they claim like insane charges and go to an insane asylum instead of prison?
Yeah, you see that happen a lot actually in murder trials. Like you have I'm not keen on the laws or anything like that, but you hear people going to prison for crimes of passion, right? And they
Mm.
get a reduced sentence because it was a crime of passion, as if like women are still back in 1940 and can't control our emotions for some reason. So we get like a less harsh punishment, which whatever. And then you have people who do such heinous crimes and they don't understand why it was so bad, right? Because serial killers, they're missing that chemical, that serotonin, that dopamine chemical that gives them emotions. And so when you don't have that emotion, you don't know something's right or wrong. They may be able to mimic other people and
Yeah.
their emotions, but they don't really truly understand why what they did was wrong. And so when you have that's I think why you give criminals, or anytime you go to, I don't know about any time, but you give criminals or serial killers or murderers a psychoanalysis test to see where their brain is functioning.
Yeah,
I think it's just all determined on
that makes
that.
sense.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on, and you don't have to answer if you ever, what are your thoughts on like hallucinogens like mushrooms or LSD and using that as treatment or just in general? Like, do you think like, hey, this could be a really useful tool in helping you heal, or thinking, I mean, I use it to think outside the box and it's great.
Yeah. I
It could be
think
fun too, but
um what I say about that kind of stuff is not scientifically proven. I want to put that out as a disclaimer, so don't come after me for what I'm
don't at me.
saying. All right, this is strictly only my opinion.
Yeah.
I think hallucinogens or marijuana, I think those can be great tools because shrooms, for example, they open up a different perspective of your mind. And whenever you're not consciously thinking about something, you're subconsciously thinking about it. And that's what hallucinogens do to you, right? And
Yeah.
so whatever you experience has got to be something that's within your deeper thought. Whatever you're experiencing on that high has got to be something that you've thought about or you suppress. And I think that could be a good tool to bring out people who maybe have trouble expressing severe trauma and, you know, things that they suppress so much that they don't even remember anymore. Just like hypnotherapists. I don't know if that's real or not, but
there's some guy on the fridge, affinityhypnotherapy.com. So again, I don't. He says, yeah,
what did he say?
It's affinityhypnotherapy.com.au.
You have to check that out.
Yeah, it says like they do it all virtual. He's from Australia, and I mean, I don't know. I've never tried it, but it seems like a nice guy, and he wants to help. And I was like, okay, makes sense.
That would be something fun for you to try and get back to us on.
Maybe I would. I mean, the other thing is that therapists scare me because they have the skill that they spent years learning about, and they would probably wouldn't do this, most of them, but if they wanted to, they could really mess you up. They could be like like that episode of Scrubs where somebody's like, I can zone in on someone's like greatest insecurity, like eyebrows, and then Elliot starts crying because like she's like, oh, my eyebrows, I'm so insecure about them. So I think they could really mess you up, and I don't want to be in that vulnerable position to do that. I would much rather eat what Super Mario eats, or take some Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, and then again, not that I need it for anything. I just for me, every major financial decision I've made was on Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, taking a trip with Lucy. So it's worked out very well.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, speaking of finances, you are currently what, like you're 12, 13 years that you have served so far?
13.
13. Mm-hmm. And are you going to go till retirement?
Yeah, I'm locked in.
Okay. Oh, how are you locked in? Like you?
So I don't know if you keep up with it or anything, but they just released this new enlistment where if you have served 12 plus years, you can enlist until 20 years. So you know how usually it's in increments of like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So because I re-enlisted, I already had 12 years in. I was able to re-enlist all the way up to my 20 years. So I don't have to anymore. It's called indefinite re-enlistment.
All right. Could you get out of that? Like, let's say you go on like a deployment or you do something just like, I can't do it anymore. And could you like palace chase or something? Or could you be like, hey, okay.
I think there's definitely ways to get out of it. There's gotta be. People have to be able to change their minds about something like that. But I don't know exactly what. I'm not there to that point yet. I'm not having a bad time to where I want to think about separating. And I would be an idiot if I did at this point. I would be absolutely dumb if I did at this point. So, but yeah, you can go palace chase and you can skill bridge.
And skill bridge?
So skill bridging is where you can choose to, it's like palace chase. You can choose to terminate your enlistment early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but what you do is you go work for a company, kind of like an internship. And once you complete that internship, you can get offered a job there, and then you come back and out process and you're out. It's called skill bridging.
Okay, cool. And you said you'd be an idiot to not re-enlist or to not finish. Is that because of the benefits you might get, or is that because you're not done with school yet and you haven't completed everything you wanted to do?
Definitely because I'm not done with school yet. And my goal is to retire at least going into a doctorate program. That's my goal, right? And I still have my master's to go, but I'm well headed towards that goal. But also it's the benefits you get, like your pension, your retirement, retiring at 42 years old. Who doesn't want to retire at 42 years old if you can? Like if you can put yourself in that position, I don't know about you, but I get lazy and tired sometimes.
Same.
Retiring at 42 sounds great. And then on top of that, you get free travel for the rest of your life. Well, not free, but
Space A is free, yeah.
For me, being a traveler, a jet setter, like retired at 42, still getting an income, like still getting a check and free airfare for the rest of my life,
Heck
sign
yeah.
me up.
They say it everywhere. But what if there was a way that you could, let's say let's say there's a way that you could retire earlier, and you don't get maybe that income you say, but at the end of the day, it wouldn't matter. There's a way that you could say, like, hey, I can do this for a little while, and then I could have a lot more money. Would you do that?
It's a hard question, but I think that I would still stick it out till retirement.
Okay.
I think I would. I'm just that type of person where I would want to finish what I started, right? And I think at this point, my career has become more sentimental to me as opposed to like, although it gets on my nerves sometimes and that political game is strong, I think my career is more sentimental to me personally than it is patriotic, kind of, if that makes any sense. And I don't mean that to be unpatriotic. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it's a little bit more sentimental than about patriotism, maybe.
Yeah, no, I understand 100%. I miss my friends every day. I mean, I still go and travel and I see them and it's fun. But yeah, that will never leave you. I mean, I'm living the best life. Pretty much do what I want when I want. But yeah, I still miss it. It's been like 6 years now, almost five and a half. But I still miss it. So
I think you're always going to, because the way that I see it is I came into the military at 22 during a time where you're really confused in who you are as a person. You're figuring it out in your very formative years, right? Who you are, who you want to be, where you're going, and then you meet these great people that you create these lifelong bonds with, and they help you figure it out, and you guys grow up together and help each other throughout life. And I still have friends that I talk to from even Oklahoma that will be my lifelong friends forever.
Yeah.
And that you can't really find that anywhere else, because no one's ever going to understand you like your fellow military friends.
That's why I travel to see him all the time. But because of the pandemic, I haven't been back to Europe. But hopefully I get to do that soon. Hopefully that'll be.
Hope so.
Yeah.
I hope I'm still here and we can all go out and recreate Germany again. That was
so much fun. I can't wait to do that again. We'll do it. We'll get Thompson on here. I don't know. Did you know Luistro?
I don't think so.
Okay, never mind. Disregard. But yeah, we'll get her. I mean, I don't know who's still there. I think Co is still there. I think Relford is. I think Relford's back there.
What?
Yeah, I think he's back there. Or he just got. I remember saying on Facebook he just got ordered somewhere, and maybe my mind's playing tricks on me, but I'm pretty sure he went back there.
Is this the same kid I'm thinking of? I'm surprised he's still in the military. Maybe it's a different person.
He was really skinny. He was watch like a washout of like a PJ washout, and he became 2T2, and he was at McGuire for a while, and I think he was at Germany for a while too. I think he's going back there.
Yeah, I think
if I'm not mistaken. Wells, I think, is leaving. So a bunch of my other friends. So Hooper or Wolfgang. They're both leaving.
I know those names, but I don't think I ever worked with those people.
Yeah, they're both leaving. I'm not sure when or where they're going, but I think someone's going to Korea for a year and come back. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. You should, when you do come back to the States, how long have you been in Honduras for?
I was in Honduras for a year.
Okay, and you're in Spain for how long?
Well, Spain is a 1-year tour, but I IPCOTted, so now I'm on my second tour here.
Okay.
So I'm here until August.
Okay, so when you come back, do you know where you're going back in the States yet?
Not yet. East Coast for sure. I put in for cool. East
Coast. I mean, McGuire would be pretty close to your family, in Philly, but McGuire's that was okay. I mean, I don't know. It was okay. Yeah, when you come back, let me know. Me and my friends have really big parties now. They're really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. And because a lot of us made a lot of money on like NFTs and crypto. What are your thoughts on have you ever got into that yet? Or have you?
doing a little bit of research on it, just because I know that you're really into it and that's what you do. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't understand it. I'm
Mm.
not a savvy person like that, and I have not gotten into that kind of stuff. It's interesting. I just don't know how it works.
Okay. I mean, I guess for NFTs, you don't really need to know how. It's basically for veve. You could just basically go and say they're digital collectibles that you can play with on your phone. You could play with in augmented reality, and you could do it with stuff like Supergirl, Wonder Woman, Superman, Harley Quinn, like all the Marvel and DC superheroes. They have Disney also. It's pretty fun. And pretty much people that don't understand NFTs or don't understand crypto, they can go on there and collect like their favorite collectibles, but digitally. So I don't know what are your thoughts on why people are so obsessed with them? Or
Oh
like why
man.
it's so huge?
Um. Hmm. I think I
I
don't know. I don't know. That's a hard question because I want to say because not a lot of people leave their houses in these digital worlds anymore. Like we're in a very social media world and people would rather stay at home and do things on the internet than go out and socialize. I don't know. That's what I would say because whether we like it or not, the younger generation is growing up in a more technological world than what we were ever exposed to, and it's
yeah.
just keeps progressing and progressing. So maybe that's one reason.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
How do you feel about or like how do you feel about parents like now or the past couple of years that we all grew up for the most part without like maybe towards the end of our childhoods we had like AOL, we had AIM, and we had cell phones in our teen years. But how do parents like try to raise kids in the digital world? Because it's never happened before. Like no parent in the history has ever had to raise a kid with a cell phone since they were like 8 years old, or having social media since they were really young. Any advice for them, or any advice on people that's like, hey, how do I operate this thing?
I have zero advice.
Yeah.
Zero. Like I don't know. Make your kids go outside more because I think a lot of kids they're not getting those essential life lessons, right? Like getting picked on or learning how to defend themselves or learning those going through those experiences that really help you build like how to problem solve and build your mind and how to handle situations. I have no advice. I don't know. I just wish people would make their kids go out and play more outside. And I wish that not everybody would get a trophy nowadays because people need losers in the world. Like we
Yeah.
need these losers sometimes. They're essential.
Yeah, I think that's how you get better also. Like I I mean, I'm not one to like fat shame, but like I also think it's ridiculous when people post like a really good looking photo of themselves and people are like, oh, you're fat shaming because not everybody looks like that. It's like for me, I see like guys at the gym that just look 100% better. It's just because I know they outworked me. I know that their diet is on point, and I know like, and that makes me want to be better. Um, so I like losing because I know that means there's still stuff to learn and there's
Yeah.
still stuff to do that. Um,
I
yeah,
think
I
at
don't
this
agree.
point in your life, whenever you stop learning or you're stop being interested in something, I think you're doing yourself a really big discredit. Like you should always strive to learn something, whether it's something you're interested in or something you had nothing or you knew nothing about previously. But the minute that you stop learning and you're just content and cruising along and you don't put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, I think that you're really doing a disservice to yourself is honestly how I feel. And that's how I like to live my life
Yeah,
is constantly be uncomfortable because that's how I'm going to learn, life lessons and things about myself and just general knowledge.
same. Agreed. I would have I mean, even as so far as like if I'm kind of cold or I'm kind of hot, I don't change a thermostat. I don't change I just like, all right, let my body adapt. Like let my body work for it. That homeostasis. As you can see, I'm in a jacket and a sweatshirt. So, I don't know. I think there's gives you an advantage. I think that gives you an edge. Because nobody else is really doing that.
Well,
Might
you're
be
a
a
better
little crazy.
man than me because I'm definitely a change the thermostat constantly type of person. Like, oh, I'm too hot. Okay, let's turn it down to -0. Oh, I'm too cold. Okay, backed up to 80.
Oh my God, that's lunacy. That's so much. Yeah, I think that's a lot. Um, in the so with being really busy with traveling and working and school and studying, the free time, what do you wind up doing that when you have like a night? It's like, okay, Netflix. What are you watching? Is it like Dexter? Is it
Um,
scary stories?
I just watched the new season of Dexter.
How was
It
that?
was very good. I enjoyed it.
Okay,
It was a little predictable, not gonna lie. It was a
yeah,
little predictable, but I'm not mad about it. Like there is definitely some like what during the show, but I'm not gonna ruin it for you. So I'm not gonna say it.
okay. Um,
But I don't watch a lot of TV. When I
mhm.
come home, this is so stupid. When I come home from work, right, and I just want to decompress and like not think about anything, I do like this coloring app on my phone. I
Okay,
know it's so childish, but I love it. And it's one of those things that you can just turn your mind off and just cruise along. But other than that, I definitely weekends I'm out road tripping by myself. That's
okay.
what
But how many places can you go to see? Like, do you go to the same place like multiple times because it's so great, or is
I,
it like wherever the road takes me?
wherever the road takes me. Like I'll do some research about what's in Andalusia, right? So Andalusia is big. It's a big province in Spain, and everything that's worth seeing is like 2-3 hours away. You have Portugal, which is a 5 hour drive, which is not that bad. It's a nice road trip.
Okay.
So I get like this idea, like, oh, I want to see this place, so I will jump in my car and I will go see that place and romp around that area for the weekend.
Yeah, Portugal's great. The Azores, it's my buddy, my do you know him? Mike Castle? Mike Castle?
I've heard that name before, but I don't think that I know that person.
He's great. I started with him in McGuire, and he's in Hawaii now. Um, but yeah, I was coming back from Germany or from somewhere in Europe, and I had a layover there and just chill for like the day, and it was beautiful. It was just the sunset was just it was like a different color. It was like,
Yeah.
you know how when you have like chicken eggs and they're like yellow, but when you get like the really good farm fresh eggs, they're like a deep orange yolk. Like that's what
Hmm.
the sky looked like. It was just orange and then like purple. It was like, I don't get this on the East Coast. It doesn't. I haven't gotten that. And
No.
or maybe I don't look at the sun enough. I don't know. Uh,
Well, I mean, East Coast, it's a little drab on the East Coast, maybe. From what I remember, Pennsylvania was always really nice, bright and sunny, but I know Jersey, well, everywhere's sunny. Look up at the sky more. I don't know.
I do spend a lot of my time inside. It's winter now. It's cold, but um, yeah.
Go
And
outside. You'll adapt. Don't worry. Go outside.
okay, I'll try to go outside. In the freezing cold, I need to. A girlfriend tells me I need to layer more. It's like I'm wearing shorts underneath my sweatpants, so it's a little layer. Not wearing
Yeah.
like thermal underwear, but
Now add a pair of jeans to that and you're good to go.
maybe. See, like I don't feel fat because then the jeans don't. It's hard for them to fit over the shorts and over the sweatpants. Like, oh, getting. I mean, maybe that might make me lose weight. That might might be a good idea. Out of all the places you traveled, where's the best food? Like, what's the best like I could live off here the rest of my life?
Japan. And I think that a lot of people are going to say that.
Sushi. I love sushi.
Just, I think all Japanese cuisine is phenomenal. The
Yeah.
sushi, especially, because I mean, it's just fresh. It's right there, and it's their food, right? They know how to prepare it in a way that other people don't, as opposed to like gas station sushi you'd find in Guam somewhere. But yeah, I think Japan was the best food in the entire world.
Okay.
Honestly.
Okay. I love sushi. Was there any worry about like okay Fukushima or not Fukushima? What was the name of the power plant that like was leaking radiation? Like, is there any worry about like mercury or radiation in the food supply while you were there?
No, because I was in Japan way before that happened.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
2013, I was in Japan. So
Okay,
that
and
was
that happened
way
like
before all
okay.
that kind of stuff. And even so, I was in Tokyo.
Oh,
So
is this a different part?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the central part, I guess.
Uh, Um, what do you? What are your thoughts? I assume in your travels you've come across some interesting people. Do you remember anyone that was like, you are so crazy, you're so weird, but I love you, or just someone that's like, oh, that dude's gonna be on the news someday, or like that chick's gonna like rob a bank or something.
Yeah, I have a story. Okay.
Okay.
So I went to Bali. This was whenever I was first starting to travel, and I was really getting my taste for my style of traveling. And I went to Bali after deployment from Afghanistan. And I didn't have a plan. I didn't know where I was going to stay. I didn't know anything about Bali. I didn't have a hotel or anything picked out. So I get to the airport. I go to the taxi stand and they're like, "Where's your hotel?" I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "I don't have one." I said, "Can you just like take me to a popular place and drop me off?" Like,
Yeah.
drop me off there. So I get in the taxi. He drives about an hour and a half. I'm like, "Man," I said, "I really hope to God that I'm going to end up somewhere good, because I'm getting concerned at this point."
That's a big taxi bill. Also, driving an hour and a half is probably expensive.
In Bali, no.
Oh,
I
really?
think
Oh,
it only cost me like $30
that's
on
amazing.
because they don't run the meters. They do it flat rate
Uh,
sometimes, which is
uh,
a blessing and a curse in some places,
yeah.
honestly. So he takes me to this grocery store in the middle of this parking lot and just parks. And then all of a sudden, all these people are coming up to the taxi, like sticking their heads in the windows. And there was this one guy, this big burly guy. He reeked of like cigarettes and like BO, and he was just smoking. He's like, "Oh, you come to my place." I'm like, "Nope, absolutely not,
Yeah.
not you." So then there was this little Indonesian Einstein looking guy, had the white hair just like crazy. And he's just innocently eating ice cream, and he comes around and he's just like poking out. He has like this real innocent, kind looking face. And he's like, "Oh, are you looking for somewhere particular?" I said, "I don't have a place to stay." He's like, "Oh, me and my wife have a homestay. There's another American couple there. You're more than welcome." Didn't like try to coerce me or anything, just was
Oh,
giving
that's
me.
so great. And there
And
was another American couple there?
there was. There
Okay.
was actually 3 other couples staying in his homestay, because it was a freshly renovated place that you would never find, because you have to walk down a cliff. Like there's like stone
Oh,
steps carved out of a cliff, and you have to walk down, and it's like
that's
on
so
the
cool.
side of the cliff. And that was the most amazing thing, because I thought for sure this guy was like, I'm like, you know how most sketch people are usually really nice and like good looking at first. They have
Maybe.
charisma to
Yeah,
attract,
yeah.
and then you turn out like chained up to the in their basement somewhere. Like that's
Missing
usually
a kidney because they're organ harvesting you.
exactly, exactly. Which ironically, Bali's where I learned about organ harvesting. So
Oh,
anyway. Yeah, so that's one of those stories where this guy, like these crazy people, I'm like, I for sure am gonna get like killed. And then this kind guy just led me down some dark alleys to his house, and it ended up being another great experience. So
so it wasn't like a really popular place
no,
that the guy took you to. And
no.
so what happened that night? Was everyone just like, hey, we're making some wine, making some dinner, and this is what, we're doing?
So what they do is like they'll sit in this parking lot and just kind of like poach travelers, like backpackers, like try to get backpackers who wander in that area to like come stay at their homestays.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say all of them are legit, but I would say like spending a week in that area, most of those places were legitimate like backpacker hostels or they
Okay.
call them homestays or something like that. So after I got familiarized with the area, I wasn't so sketched out about it.
Okay. All right. So, and that, oh man, I was thinking like you met, like the driver was going to be interesting, or you had met someone at a party and they were just like, traveling, they were just backpacking, and there's like, I didn't think it would be the old guy and his
And
wife
his
at a
ice
homestead.
cream.
Yeah, and his ice cream.
Well, the taxi driver just kept asking me what I thought about Obama. He's like, "Oh, Obama." He's like, "Obama's great." I'm like, "Yeah, where are you taking me?"
I
Cool,
guess
cool,
he's loved
cool.
over there. I guess he's people love him.
like
The other
that.
thing, so did you notice any differences in training or any differences in work where, because I only served under Obama, between like okay, there's served under Obama, served under Trump, and now served under Biden, like any differences in like cash flow or differences in the mission?
Cash flow, budget, absolutely. And budget always fluctuates with whatever party's in office. Whenever you have one party in office, you're going to see an influx in your budget, and they're going to be for the troops as opposed to right now, the Biden administration. They're not so much for that kind of stuff. So our budget gets taken away and restricted a little bit. And I think that's always been the case,
Yeah.
depending on, red or blue, whoever's in the office right now.
And did you, how did you feel about the U.S. withdrawing from Afghanistan? Because you had been there, and I don't know if you had like opened up shop or you helped close it down at one point.
So Spain and Germany mostly dealt with all of the evacuees and like the refugees and stuff like that, right? They had this huge hub going. We set up shop for it. We prepared for that kind of stuff. We just never ended up getting anybody.
Okay.
So, but we definitely did stand up to accommodate that. But that whole Afghanistan thing is a debacle, and everybody feels that way. And there's definitely 20,000 other ways that we could have done it better. And something about it, like my personal opinion, something about it just felt very sketchy. It shouldn't have gone down like that. You can't tell me in the history of every time we pulled out of somewhere that it didn't have some kind of planning. So why now? Like what made this particular withdraw so messy? You know what I mean? Like why so sudden like that? So
do you think that we'll be back there? Because it wouldn't be the first time where we close down a base and then we open it up again.
Especially in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, especially in Afghanistan.
And in Iraq. We've done that multiple times in the Middle East. So, yeah, I think we'll be back. I think dark times are coming for sure. That's my personal opinion. I think we're in for some very dark times.
Yeah, I had up until recently, like to the last few years, like 2017 through like 2018, maybe 2019, I was like, call me back. Like I was not praying for it. I obviously would not want anything bad to happen, but I was like, when I think when somebody in like Hawaii pressed that button of like accidentally sending out a text message to everyone in Hawaii, I was imminent nuke attack coming in from South Korea.
That happened?
You don't remember that?
I don't remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so this one dude, someone in Hawaii had sent out a mass notification because like the send and to not send was on like the same page. Mass notification saying like, hey, everyone, there's imminent nuclear attack from South Korea or from North Korea. And I remember talking to a couple of people. Friend Delro's there. Friend, do you remember Ogletree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were down there. I think Ogletree had gotten out, but Holt was still, who is Ogletree now. Just so after, she's like, yeah, I just put some whiskey on my coffee. I just like went to work. Like, let's go. It was like, and it didn't come out until like a few hours later that it was like a false alarm. But everybody in Hawaii had to like deal with the fact that like, oh, all right, guess we're gonna die, for like hours. And yeah, it was like, just Google that, like, hey, fake Hawaii attack or something. Let's see what it is right now. I need like an assistant. I need like a Joe Rogan. Pull that up, young Jamie. I don't know if you're ever listening.
Where is your assistant? You're getting to be that big, right?
Maybe sometimes like now it's pretty late. It's a nice break. But on like at nighttime, like last night I had like 300 something people watching for like hours, and we could like we could only answer a certain amount of super chats because it was just it was nuts. And there was every now and then there's people that like they'll simp or they'll spam, and it's like, oh, we got to try to get those out.
Yeah. That sounds very exhausting, by the way.
It was. Yeah, so the false missile alert it happened on December 1st, 2017. The Hawaii false missile alert. nuclear threat siren was tested in Hawaii for the first time in more than 30 years. And then it was nuts. So at that time, I was like, I guess it's time. They're gonna take me back. And
This
then I
is
was
it,
like,
boys.
the false alarm. The other time was so Trump used to tweet a lot, and he had half of a tweet sent, and it was like something about North Korea saying like we're no longer going to take dot dot dot, and then the second half of the tweet didn't come out for like 5 or 10 minutes later. So I was like, what are we not taking? What are we not doing? And then it finally came out. It's like I forget what it was. I don't know if it had something to do with like the Olympics or anything, but it was like something minor. It was like something stupid. But for like 10 minutes, I was like, what's going on? um, if you let's say you did retire, and after you retire, and then like a year or two later, that like it's an all hands on deck situation. Like World War III is breaking out, Russia and China are teaming up with Iran, and it's just like Europe's under attack. Would you go back, or would you be like, I'm so done at that point?
I'm so done. I would be so done. And so old. I'm already broken. I can't handle that life, right?
2T2. I mean, it'd probably be like I mean, as master sergeant, like I think at that point, maybe master sergeant is deployed. Maybe you don't do as much, much physical work.
I would try. Knowing me, I would try to get out there with all the young kids, be like, move over and let me in there, and then like break a hip or something. Back in August, I did a 3-week training course with the Marines.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
their
think I
version.
remember that.
Yeah, it's their version of ALS. It's called Corporal's Course, right? I'm 35, by the way, and I'm already broken from. I treat my body like a playground because I think that I'm tough and I'm not. So I did this training with oh, I was reading that.
Yeah.
That's true. I believe that, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So I did this 3-week training, and out of 15 days, we've PT'd 13 of those days. And when I say PT, I'm not talking like a mile and a half run and some push-ups and sit-ups. No, our first PT was a combat fitness test. Do you know what a combat fitness test is?
I don't think I've had the pleasure. Tell me what goes on.
Okay, so you have to sprint a half a mile,
Oof.
like sprint, and you're in boots and utes, right? So
no.
like a dumbass, wore steel-toe boots because that's all I had.
Oh.
So it was terrible. And then you have to come back. You get like these 40-pound ammo cans, and you have to like raise them above your head a million times.
Oh.
And then you have like this whole obstacle course where you have to fireman carry people and drag people and push-ups and low crawl, high crawl. I'm like, I'm gonna die. And I died the first day. I left a piece of my soul out there. And it was just hardcore PT like that the whole time. And I'm proud that I made it through, but I'm not gonna lie, it broke me. It broke me hard.
So what do you do for PT now? Like, do you have any waivers? Be like, guys, my knees are shot, my lower back is shot, the mile and a half's not happening. Or
No. And you know why? Because I think I'm still in that old school mentality where if you're on a profile or a waiver, then you're like the black sheep of the family.
Yeah,
so
no, I understand 100% what you mean.
Yeah. So I try not to do that. It's a pride thing at this point, I think.
Yeah. Well, 7 years left. So you'll I mean, I know after 30 you get that little bit of a break on the mile and a half. Is there any other like after that, like after 35 or after 40, you get another little break?
Yeah, so they just changed the whole PT program. So I think instead of your scores going every 10 years, it's every 5 years now. And then each component, you have an alternate or a modification. Like you can, for the mile and a half run, you can modify it with a shuttle sprint now.
What is the shuttle sprint?
This is fairly new, so don't come at me if I mess it up because we haven't implemented here in Spain yet. But you have, I think, the length of like half a basketball court, I think it is. And you start off, and at the beep, you have between beeps that amount of time to go from one line to the other line. So like say you get 30 seconds in between beeps to run that distance.
Okay.
And then as you go more and more, the time gets shorter and the beeps get
Oh,
but you have to meet a minimum amount of shuttles. You have to like
okay.
shuttle maybe like 75 times within that to pass
That
something
seems
like
like a lot.
yeah, that's what I said. I'd rather just run the mile and a half,
Yeah.
honestly.
And your sprinting takes a lot out of you. Like, do you see not like the Japanese Hunger Games where they play red light, green light? I forget the name of the series that was on Netflix. Green
Squid
light.
Game.
Squid Game. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like I feel
that's
like it would be like that.
you
uh,
know what? That's how it should be, honestly.
delete the week.
I'm gonna be cynical and say, you know what? That is a real test of physical and emotional endurance and stamina.
That would be. I mean, it's like I'm sure you've seen the Saw movies,
No.
and you haven't seen the Saw movies,
Listen, I can't handle it. I can't.
but you love that type of stuff.
No. That's gory. That's gory, just like brutal. I'm gonna kill people in the most horrible way.
But it's a psych. But no, the games aren't meant to kill people. It's meant to see like what some things like hey, what's testing your will of survival. It's testing how you trust each other in situations, and there's the psychology behind it is really interesting. I
I
think you would
agree.
really have a good. Yeah.
I can't handle the gore. I cannot do
Okay.
it. I can't. Maybe I'll sit down and watch them like if I have a friend over or something. 'Cause I can't do that myself. I'll turn it off instantly.
Okay. The the studying of the mind of certain people, would you so you could hear people describe it like what they did, like yeah, I mangled this person and I like filled them with holes and then I did stuff with the hole, like you could hear that but you just
Yeah,
can't see it.
yeah.
Oh, so you're like a bit like the visual thing is just no.
I think that I can handle the after effects of things, but I can't handle watching somebody actually performing those things. I think that's where I get a little like squeamish.
Okay.
But seeing the aftermath of things or hearing about it, that doesn't really bother me.
Hmm. So I mean the reason why I like the song was because I mean it's a movie and it's interesting. See that in real life, like oh man, I'm gonna like that might puke, you know. So so yeah, I that is. But you like hearing like I don't know someone. I don't know if I could do that. If someone's like if I'm in, like in prison for whatever reason, someone's like saying like what they did to get in, like I did this. I'm like I don't want to hear that. Like I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear that. That sounds
I
like
find it
too
so
super real.
fascinating. Like
Yeah.
I'll sit there and be like, "Oh, tell me more. Like I want to know everything."
You are very
Oh,
fascinating.
yeah.
You are very fun. Um, oh wow, I can't wait to have a drink with you again, and then talk about that stuff. I'll see it. I'm sure out of like my 69,000 subscribers, everyone comment nice down below for the 6,900 subscribers. That I one of them is probably like, oh, I know a guy. I'll hook you guys right up. You can interview him. He's rehabilitated, but he's not. Oh,
Please don't. Please don't just like, hey, meet this guy for coffee. He's got an interesting story. Don't set me up like that.
okay. Won't set you up for failure. Maybe we'll do it behind glass or something. I don't know. Um, yeah, but that'd be
But
fun.
yeah, I would love to sit down and talk. Maybe I'll be less nervous in person because I'm a little nervous. I was a little nervous to do this. I've
Yeah.
never done a podcast or anything.
I mean, it's
So
just talking and people just, asking questions every now and then, just doing whatever.
yeah,
But yeah, it's fun. It's relaxed. It's
it
chill.
is. I had a blast doing this, but I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
I didn't lie.
But you're great on camera. You can totally do it again. And if I know, I know you said like I'm sure you're half joking with the like, oh yeah, if you open a tiki bar, let me work for you. Like, in the next couple of years, I could pretty much do whatever I want. And if you want to do that and you want to run it for me, I'll give you free reign. Do whatever. And if you wanted to.
It's something to talk about for sure. I know my retirement goal is to get my Italian passport because my dad didn't become a citizen in America until a year after I was born. So he didn't get naturalized until. So that automatically makes me entitled to a Italian passport. And
Oh,
so that's
cool.
kind of like my retirement goal is whenever I retire, get my dual citizenship and kind of settle down in Europe. That's my goal. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, those things are definitely something to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to open up there, sure. I have dual citizenship in Peru, but I feel like nobody really would want to go down to Peru. I feel like that maybe for Machu Picchu, like, but not like to live. I feel like that might be it.
I had a friend who did some kind of like missionary program. It wasn't like a missionary because she's in the Air Force as well, but she linked up with these group of women who go down there and do like humanitarian services in Peru. And she loved it. Like she didn't want to come back. She said she would totally live in Peru for the rest of her life if she could. And I hear everybody has great things to say about Peru outside of Machu Picchu, of course. But yeah, I think Peru is a wonderful place.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I will be moving down to Florida at some point, and I will be going down to, and that'll be to live. I mean, if I might get a place in Portugal. I might get a place in Puerto Rico, where I guess there's less taxes on crypto. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. That'd be great if you visit. But yeah, let me know when you come back where you are, and then we'll meet up at some point, and then maybe come to one of the parties. And we'll go from there.
They're in a heartbeat. For sure.
Do you like Harry Potter?
Yes.
Okay, so
absolutely.
We're a bunch of the communities trying to make a plan for October. I'm gonna pay for everyone's like it's called OMI. This is stuff we invest in, the OMI token. Pay for everyone's OMI tattoos, and we're just gonna go to Harry Potter World, and we're just gonna go crazy. It's gonna be awesome. So
well, if that's an invite, I'm there. 100.
Do it. Let's do it.
For real.
But thank you for coming on. Any final thoughts that you want to? Let's say I do get really famous and people go and listen to this. What do you want people to say, or what do you want people to hear? What's your message?
Don't be afraid to go out in the world and explore it. It's a beautiful place. You meet a lot of great people. You have some amazing experiences. You come back with amazing experiences. You just never know what you're going to find out there. So don't be afraid to get out there and explore, and don't be afraid of it. I think a lot of people are afraid to go out there nowadays, but just be safe, be cautious, and enjoy it, because we're not going to have it for very long. So that's my final thought.
All right. Very good final thought. Everyone, thanks for joining. Erika, just hang back for a second after I end the podcast, and then we'll
you me?
Yeah, just hang out after.